Here then, look. Not much clearance, but we'll see when we run it, won't we? But progress up here, look. Oh, I've got a little gauge. Beginning to look like an engine now. So I've done that. All I've got to do now, before I can run it again, is to do that connection pipe from there down to there for the blower. Because I won't be able to get pressure. So once I've put that pipe in, I can connect it up to the compressed air again and run it and check for leaks so far. Anyway, we'll see. I'm just going to do episode 16. So will this be done for 16 or will you have to wait till 17? Can you stand the excitement? Probably not. So, have you ever bitten your tongue and caused a big ulcer? I have, and that's what was going on in that last clip. I've just been on holiday and come back and checked that before I start filming this. And I remember I had a massive ulcer on the side of my tongue. But that is actually a digression. I've been to Germany, Holland and France on a cruise with Fred Olsen. It was great. Ended up on Normandy beaches. Anyway, we're back now. Before I went, I got the pressure up in here and it's not good. I ended up getting a sprayer with some washing up liquid in the water and spraying around here because it was leaking so much. And nearly all these joints were weeping a small amount of air. So collectively we were losing a lot, including around the bottom here. But this one was the major culprit. It was actually peeing out of there like there's no tomorrow. Let's zoom in, this one. So what I'm going to do now, what I started to do is, I'll show you this. Let's see, do this with me. Get this to focus on my hand. That looks a bit rough on the end of there. And I'm not sure what's going on in there. So I've got this old paintbrush and I'm carving down this so that I can jam it in there to find out what's going on in here, what the profile is in there. So then I can try and do something about it. To sort of give that a bit of a polish. I was hoping to use this and put some grinding paste on it and give it a bit of a whirl in there to try and bed it in, but obviously I can't because it wants to screw, so I can't. So I've got to think of something else. Perhaps make another one of these and use that. I don't know yet. So that's that problem. That's my next thing, and I've been buying some more kit. Can you believe it? Yes. I've had these for my standard amount of time, which is donkey's years. And I don't know where they came from. I suspect they were for an uncle who used to be in the RAF mechanic, I think. But the pivot pin's missing from there. Now, I could try and repair them, and I suppose I should. And I probably will one day, but I've been looking to see if I could get some new ones of these. I thought, treat myself, you know. So anyway, I haven't been able to. Then I bought me insurance for the car through confused.com and got 20 quid to spend in Alfred's. So I was just looking to see if they did anything. And they do these, which is very interesting. Look, they call them self-adjusting pliers. And it does that. But then when you grip something, it steps up to the next level of leverage. So if I stick that in there, it'll quickly grab on and then squeeze a bit harder. And the next level comes in and it grips. Quite clever. I haven't used them in anger yet, but yeah, I'm quite impressed. Some of the reviews say they don't grip tight enough, but I can't see a problem there. That certainly grips very tight. So maybe there you get faulty ones, because they are, let's be honest, they're cheap Chinese. And hold on, just bear with, for 22 quid, so I paid 2 quid. For 22 quid, you get one of them, and you get a big daddy one like that as well. So that's 22 quid for the pair. And there's a little clip there, look, when you put them away, That clip there holds them shut. So there, yeah, quite good. See how it goes. I've also bought this, look. I was looking in the auction catalogue, a local auction to me, and there were some engineering bits in there, and amongst them was a swivelling machine vise. And I thought, well, I haven't got a swivelling one, and I could do with one of them. And I looked at it, and it probably goes cheap. I think actually I looked at it, I think it went for about a tenner, but it got all drill marks in here. So it had been used a bit knackered. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to have a new one because I can. So I looked on, and I found this on eBay, 45 quid. Brand new from AIM Tools Limited. And they delivered it in decent time. And that's it, it's a 3-inch. And it swivels, obviously. And it comes with these little blocks that go under there for lining up in your grooves in the milling bed, which it does because I've tested it. You can take this top off, undo these screws, take the top off and just use it as a normal milling vise on its own without the swivel base. And it's by Katsu Tools. So we'll see, but it is cheap Chinese, and so therefore the first thing I'm going to do, because it feels like it's cheap Chinese, as somebody else said in the reviews, I'm going to strip it, and clean it up, clean the swarf off it and re-grease it, and it should be a lot better than it is. I mean, it's not rubbish, but I will show you one thing though, if you're thinking of getting one of these, just bear with. Okay, switching to wobbly cam. Down here there's a 0 and there's a 90. Can you see that? There's a 90, and on the opposite side to this it's another 0, and on the opposite side to the 90 is another 90. So you have to work out the scaling yourself. You can do, obviously there's a scale there, but it doesn't go 0, 90, 270, 360. It's just 0, 90. I don't know if that's standard or not. And also on here, this is your plate, and there's no mark on there, nothing at all. So I'm going to have to do that myself, which is not a major problem, as long as you know you've got to do it. And as my mate said, it's engineering. If you can't do that, you shouldn't have bought the bloody vise. But it's not. There's not one on the other side. There's not a plate like that on the other side. It's just plain round. So this is the only side that you can use on the scale. So that's worth knowing as well. But again, not a major problem. So yeah, so that's the end of that digression. Back to the loco. This thing is driving me round the bloody twist, I tell you. Now then, what I've had to do, there's been a lot of water passed under the bridge since I last made a video. I don't know if you can see this under here. There's a blank in there. Basically, this tap and this tap leak like hell. Apart from the fact, anything else. What I've got is I've got 30 psi through the compressor, and it's leaking so much it's not even registering on the gauge, and I've tested the gauge, so I'm not getting 30 psi there. But what I'm doing, they were leaking like hell, so I've made bungs for there to shut them up so I can test where all the other leaks are. And what I'm doing is I'm spraying with soapy water, and what I found is, look, they're all leaking along there. So I think the only thing I'm going to do, well, I've got to replace these anyway. I'll do something with them because they're just rubbish. I've tried to repair this. I thought there was some muck in there, but it's not. It just won't seal. And this one, I thought it was sealing. It's almost sealing, but it's not. So I've got to redo that, which is a shame because it's quite smart, and I don't think it'll look that smart when I've finished. The whistle works anyway. And this is, the glass is keeping okay, and everything else seems to be reasonably okay. It's just this bloody thing up here. However, I don't know if I can show you this. If I zoom out, have I got enough pressure? Because I've switched the compressor off now, but I have now got enough oomph in it to... No, it ain't going to go. It did do. Go on. No, it ain't going to go. I've let the compressor drop now because it's bloody noisy, that new compressor. But anyway, I have had it running on the compressed air. You'll just have to believe me. back to me digressions. I've done this now, stripped it, cleaned it. What I did was, it did feel a bit rough, as they say, so I cleaned just basically cleaned it with thinners. And then I used some of my old grinding paste, the grinding valves in on engines. I used coarse and fine on there, and I did the same on this bit. I just rubbed it along there for a bit. Again, coarse and fine, cleaned it up, beautiful. Then I strapped it down on here, and I used the quill to get this absolutely lined up. And then you can see, and I could, you almost think I planned this, look. If I zoom in, woo, you can see I've got that, I've centre punched that, blacked it, centre punched it, so that is 90. And it lines up with the bed nicely. So there you go. I've not used it yet, but I'm looking forward to it. Some more items from Temu. I saw one of these in Screwfix. They were about £9. This was nowhere near that. I can't remember the price. It's very, very cheap though. It's for marking down deep holes. So this piece here is 6mm, and this is about 3. And you press the end here, look, and it comes, whee, it comes out. So you can get down 3mm holes to mark the bottom. And I just thought, you know what, I could do with one of them, but not for £9. So it was ridiculously cheap, and you get all these spare leads with it. Brilliant. What I also wanted, I got a problem with the Volvo, and I needed to get a bit of upholstery out, and I've been using credit cards or cut up old mats to make pry things. These were only a couple of quid, a full set of these. So with them, I think I've spent, altogether I spent about £8 here. No, wrong. I did get a couple of guitar wall hangers, and they were cheap rubbish. I've thrown them away. That's for putting a taper on the end of a piece of bar or a piece of tube. That was about 99p. And this, about 99p or something. It's just 2 spring-loaded things like that. Look, I don't know if you can see it very well. And it's for holding wires when you're soldering. Put them in there, solder them in the middle. For 99p or whatever it was, thought not worth being without. Okay, I just thought it's the end of number 17. I just thought I'd let you know that I don't think, well, there will be an 18, but it'll be the last one. Because basically I'm fed up with it, sort of thing. I think I'll probably paint these up and fit them back on. But I don't look forward to the plumbing. I don't enjoy the plumbing. I enjoy the turning, but I don't like the messing around with the plumbing and everything. And I'm not looking forward to putting this bodywork on and these tanks and stuff. So basically I'm not going to bother. I'm just going to leave it. I'm going to seal these up so it will run on compressed air. And I'm just going to keep it running on compressed air when I feel like it. What I might do is move it to the back of the bench, put it over the back of the bench so that I can use this bit of bench, keep it on the rolling road. And I'll just be tinkering with it when I feel like. So I'd say I'll do a number 18 when I've actually got it running and finished and as far as I'm going to go. And then that'll be it. So I don't know what the future is. It owes me about £2 if somebody wants to come and give me £2 for it. Be my guest, and then they can finish it. But as it is now, I'll just leave it there and play with it when I feel like. I've got this to do. Well, when I say I've got it to do, I've got it to carry on with. I started this several years ago. The chassis is a reproduction of my 1936 MG that I used to have. You probably see it in the pictures. My picture, you see the front of an MG, that was it. And I bought the plans, full-size plans for the car, and copied the chassis. And I made this out of steel by using laser cutting and banging the steel over blanks and stuff. And anyway, it's another video. I could make videos of how I did that. I've got all the stuff there, and I've just left it. I think I left it when I came up against the wheels. I was struggling to know how I was going to make the wheels, and I left it and went on to other things. So I might go back to that to get some more progress on there.